Jake, how has your customer experience set you apart with your business? And also, you work with your wife every day. So what's the most rewarding part of that?
We try to give a positive, process-driven experience to the customer, and they love us for us. And working with my wife, she loves me.
Welcome to this edition of the Whole Truth Podcast. Today, special guest is Jake Adams with Jake's Heating and Cooling out of Knightstown, Indiana. So Jake's one of them. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but he's actually one of them that I've kind of followed just because he has grown an HVAC company for being a local contractor on what I'm trying to do with the roofing. So it's just... this just made sense. So take a minute to introduce yourself and we'll jump into it.
Oh yeah, I'm Jake Adams with Jake's Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing out of Knightstown, Indiana. We've been in business about 18 years. Trying not to say a lot. That is really hard when you think about it. I own it with Kelly, my wife. If you look at our logo, she's the lady that's in there. We've grown quite well over the years, and we're still growing today.
So what? How'd you get into HVAC?
My dad was in HVAC, and when I was graduating high school, I got rolled up into an apprenticeship program that he kind of put together with his employer, and that's how I got into HVAC.
Okay. So did your dad ever own his own?
No.
Okay.
No.
What? So was your dad union by chance?
He wasn't when I started out.
Okay.
But about halfway through my apprenticeship, he joined the union, and the union's I got wrapped up into it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what made you decide that, hey, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do it for myself instead of work for somebody else?
That's easy. My mom is an entrepreneur. My dad is too, but my mom is a real entrepreneurial. That's all there is to it. And she owned some daycares out in Oklahoma City. Bought the wrong business. Ended up with some IRS troubles because of that. The last people didn't pay their taxes. So we moved to Indiana, but I always had the bug that I wanted to run a company. I wanted a successful company. I just didn't know what kind until I started going through the apprenticeship, and it's like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Was there people that are entrepreneurs, like they get it? Like I knew that I wanted to start my own company. Yep. What that was, I tried a few different kind of side gigs, but yeah, I mean, some people understand that. Like I was in environmental consulting before I got into roofing, and I almost tried to open up one of them companies, but I was like, my heart, my heart wasn't in it. So did you try anything else before you tried HVAC?
Not really. As I was going through the apprenticeship, as soon as we topped out within a year, Jake's was open.
Okay.
Now, the whole time going through the apprenticeship, I did more side jobs than I probably should have. When we hit about 80 hours a week doing the side job stuff and 40 hours a week working for Honeywell at that point,
yep.
It was like, it might be time. It just might be time to jump off. So in 2007, that's what we did. April 1st, 2007.
So your wife works in the business with you day to day?
Yep.
What's her main role?
Well, it has changed a little bit over the last year. I lovingly say that I fired her, but she's still around. She does a lot of the administrative stuff. She's also a business owner, which is different than a role in the business. So she's going over numbers, making sure people are happy, taking care of our team. The team, we used to do... she used to do these haunts where she'd go to haunted tuberculosis hospitals and stuff. The team absolutely loved that. They actually came back to her within the last month and was like, we need to start doing that again. So now she's starting to implement that stuff where they go on ghost hunts and just, I don't know. It's her thing. It's not my thing, but they seem to really enjoy it.
So where are these ghost hunts at?
They're all over Indiana. There was one in Winchester that I went to her with, which is an old tuberculosis hospital. And you put a ball in the middle of the room and you ask the little boy to move it, and the wind moves it, and then everybody freaks out. And it's like, okay. So I play along. I do play along. I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but yeah.
The hell with that. Now, if Emily was sitting here, I know where this conversation would go to. We actually did do some work for a lady over in Franklin, and the building that we did some work on, it's haunted. Super duper. Ella's her name, like fantastic customer. And I believe it was maybe it was just on like a haunted Facebook page of Indiana, but I do know, yeah. So that's funny. I mean, that's a different subject. Me and my wife, we had them conversations sometimes. So did your wife always work in the business with you?
No. In 2013, she is a plumber by trade, welder. If you call her a plumber, she might get mad. But she got her plumbing license in 2013. She got laid off she was doing commercial stuff. And she was like, Jake, I got the office, you get the field. And that's pretty much how it was up until about a year ago.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I was running sales. Emily was running production. Yep. The problem in a roofing construction company, it's either the sales problem or a production problem. And I'm really bad about shutting stuff off when I go home. So then if there was a problem here, I'd just go home and continue to have the discussion.
Oh, yeah.
So,
which only works for the first month. After that, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. She don't want to talk about it, but we end up talking about it. Yeah. Happened this weekend, actually.
It's 10:30 and she's like, seriously, we're not talking about it anymore.
Yep.
I was like, oh. And my wife has been working from home. I said a couple of days off a week. It turned into more just working from home for about a year now. And I wake up and it's like them days, like I want to talk work. And I'm like, never mind. Today's your morning off or today's your day off. Like I'll leave that go. What do you contribute your success to? Because like I said in the introduction, like you've grown a business in Knightstown with hundreds of reviews. And, I'll be honest, what I did is I worked for a couple of the bigger roofing companies in Indianapolis. It's funny because now they'll come out this way and do work. But it seemed like when I worked for them, they'd always complain that we were too far out. Nobody wanted to go out there. Our suppliers didn't want to deliver the material. Our crews didn't want to go out there. So I just took the concept. I try not to say business model, but the concept of having several sales reps and actually having a production team. So kind of talk a little bit about your growth and what you've had to do and, maybe some lessons that you've learned.
Well, our biggest thing is our people. They run a process that we designed that has a high level of customer experience type thing in there. So we want the customer to have a great experience with us. Because, when we show up, your furnace is broke, your air conditioner is broke, you're not having the best day. But if we can take that and like, hey, we've got this under control, we know how to fix it, and so on and so forth, and run that process, it turns out very well every time. I'm trying to think of some lessons. There's been so many over 18 years that, sometimes you get your teeth kicked in, and sometimes you got to eat it, and sometimes you screw things up, and sometimes they flood a house, and you just got to, hey, they flooded the house. I'm sorry. Let's make it back better than what we found it. Those type of things. But
sometimes that happens to us every week around here. So
well, when you're doing, I was talking with somebody about this yesterday. When you're doing somewhere between 20 and 40 calls a day,
right,
one of them going bad is going to happen.
Right.
Like we're going to make somebody mad. Or there's going to be a miscommunication, which is usually where it turns out to be.
Yep.
They're not having the best day. We show up and, you might need a new furnace or air conditioner. And it's like, how am I going to pay for this? And all that type of stuff. So we try to take those stress points and make them as easy as possible. If we can make them as easy as possible, then their day's not so bad. They can get back on with their life and so on and so forth.
One thing that I stress around here is like communication. Because in the contracting world, contractors... They never show up when they say they're going to.
Yep.
they never do the job when they say they're going to, and they don't get the estimate out when they say they're going to, and we're in the world that stuff happens, but there is a lot of stuff that we can control, so I mean, it's just the customer experience. I mean, exactly. That's probably the biggest shift that I had, because sometimes I felt like I was going to the team and I'm like, this is how I want to do it. And it was for the customer experience, but they took it as, oh, this is how Bob wants it done.
Yep.
But then I kind of flipped it to, hey, let's look at the customer experience. Like, how can we make this the smoothest handoff from sales to production, and you still have, like today, the suppliers in here right now, they, one of the shingles, they didn't have it at their branch. They shipped it over to a different branch. Well, that communication fell through, and the materials weren't delivered until about 20 minutes ago, but they owned it. They got it here.
Yep.
It's all going to work out, so.
Well, and when you talk about suppliers, ours, we partnered with Trane a couple of years ago, and it is the rep is the reason why we sell Trane.
Yes.
Trane's a great piece of equipment and so on and so forth. Has a tendency to be a little higher than everybody else as far as cost. But if I called him right now and said, Jeff, I need an 18 SEER unit here, and it's in Dayton or something, he'd go rent a U-Haul and get it here.
Right.
Like, there is no question. There is no, well, this or that or other. It's like, oh, that's what you need. That's what we got you.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Suppliers, like, especially being out here where there isn't a whole bunch.
Yep.
It makes all the difference in the world.
So what, and everybody wants that. What's the silver bullet? What's the secret to success? But what do you think you guys have done well to grow to where you're at?
Again, I put it back on that process.
Yep.
You get the people in place, you put the process in place that takes care of the customer and that customer experience, and we just grow. Every month we grow a little more, and every month we grow a little more. So
what? So heating, cooling, and plumbing, is that your guys' 3 services?
Yep, and duct cleaning. We
Okay.
do duct cleanings as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
You actually did duct cleaning for us on a job. We did a tornado damaged house a few years ago.
Oh, really?
And it was smooth. I shouldn't probably admit to this on the phone or on the camera, but we had called somebody else, and it was like, what in the heck? And I was like, just call Jake's and see if they do it. And I mean, literally, I think it was done within a couple of days. And yeah, got out there, got it done, which for you guys, it was a perfect scenario. The house was empty. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
Like, you could just go in there and do your job and get it done. But still, like, just from one business owner to another, like, you made that part of our day go a lot smoother.
Oh, yeah. We just take it. We'll take the problem. You go put roofs on. Let's deal with this.
So so you said you've been in Knightstown 25 years. Mm-hmm. So been in business 18 years.
Yep.
Like, how did you land in Knightstown?
Again, it's not that interesting. My dad, I always knew I wanted to start a business even when we were going through the apprenticeship. So me and my dad decided we were going to buy houses and flip them and make money. I finally sold my very last house. No, I still have one more. My sister's living in it. Anyway, we didn't make any money doing that. But we did flip some houses. One of those houses we bought in Knightstown, and he paid very little money for. And so when my daughter was born in 21, I was like, we lived over by Speedway, and I was like, Kelly, like, wherever we land, we're not moving from that spot till all the kids graduate. So my dad had the house in Knightstown. We were in the middle of flipping it, and he's like, just pay me what I have in it, and that's what we'll do. And I bought my house for a little bit of nothing, and we've lived there for 25 years. We are getting ready to move, but we're still in the same school district.
Yep.
I still have one more that's got about 10 more years.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's ironic, we moved from Ohio over to Rushville or Rush County, I guess, back in '96. So, holy cow, that'll be 30 years here in a few months. That's crazy.
Goes fast, doesn't it?
Crazy to say that out loud, and so I mean that's why we did what we did. Do you guys have any other locations besides Knightstown?
We do. There's Newcastle, Knightstown, Greenfield, and New Pal.
Okay.
In 2020, when I started building those out, we were going to put CSRs in them and kind of run them as their own little shop. COVID kind of put a stop to it. So I just tell people they're glorified billboards.
Yep.
It's actually cheaper to buy a building and put a billboard in front of it than it is to rent a billboard.
Yep.
So we hold meetings there usually and things of that nature, but that's usually what like Newcastle, for example, we'd have a lot of leadership meetings there.
Okay.
Greenfield will have HVAC service meetings there twice a week. Those type of things happen, but they're not actively open.
Right.
Yeah.
So how big is your team?
We will be 44 people after today, I do believe, including Kelly and myself.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. Nice. Is that the largest you guys have ever?
No, we've actually been a little bit larger. Sometimes in business you have to reset a little bit. That happened in between 23 and 24. So we had to cut about 18 people. Not something I'm extremely proud about, but when you're in a little bit of a crisis mode, you anybody who's not a Team A player, they're great people.
Absolutely.
And most of them have moved on and got jobs and things like that. But if you weren't a producer, we didn't keep you.
Right.
So I read a book one time that said you got motors and you have anchors. Cut the anchors. Right. Keep the motors. Cut the anchors. And that sounds so like mean now that I say it out loud, but that's what I did.
Well, what people don't understand as a small business owner is we have to make money. And I know that may sound greedy, but when you look at, our team has grown so much here lately, and we seem to have a lot of young families. Like we just had a cookout on Saturday at my house, and somebody's like, you had more kids there than you did adults. And my son is 10, and he's like the old one of the group. I mean, there's I know Tim's got a boy that's a few years older, but I mean, a lot of them are months old to 3 to 5. And I mean, so like I carry a burden. Like when I look at Ellie, I see, 4 kids at home.
Yep.
Like, and it's just, there's a different layer, a different level of that. Like Ellie's a fantastic young lady. She could go be successful at a lot of places. I'm very appreciative that she works here, but I'm just, I mean, I get it. What book was that?
I actually forget what book it was now that you asked me. Good to Great, maybe?
Okay. Jim Collins?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's yeah.
I know Jim Collins has a few different books. He's got Good to Great, and then now I'm going to look like a complete idiot because I just seen him at a Dave Ramsey conference, and they was actually talking about, B 2.0. I was like, I just looked over and seen it on Adam's desk here. I believe that was one of his first books, if I remember right. And I'm just a book junkie and a leadership junkie. So what do you guys? I mean, you follow a process. What I've kind of learned in successful businesses is there has to be systems and processes. Mm-hmm. And I hate that word because I felt like some companies I worked for before in environmental, even there was too corporate. Now I kind of understand the importance of some of that, but like, what is your employee training look like? Because I know that has to be a huge part.
Oh yeah. Well, on the plumbing side, there's an actual apprenticeship that goes through the BAC, those type of things. But then we also do some in-house training. We've hired a full-time trainer, Robert. Robert's worked for me for 11, 12 years, something like that. Started out as a installer, worked his way all the way through everything. And we've recently, in the last year, made him specifically trainer. So he's building out areas, and we've always had for the last 5 years like systems in place where the guys could break them and all kinds of other stuff, and then learn how to do tune-ups and learn how to do transitions for the installers and things like that. But we're kicking that up a notch.
Okay.
So hopefully in the next year you'll start to see to where we just take people that are not out in the field every day, teach them, then put them out into the field.
Yep.
What we do now is a couple hours a day, then they go out to the field. With the exception of installers, we actually did the installers where we teach them one thing about the HVAC install, and we teach them for 2 weeks. and then they've got that down. So then I can take that person and put them out into the field, and they're not learning on the fly. So they can learn how to put an outdoor unit in. They may not be able to braze it and some of the other stuff, but they can get it level, they can set it in place, they can hook it up electrically under the supervision of the journeyman that is there on the site. So, but our training, we're actually doing something really neat with Ivy Tech right now too. It's just in the beginning stages that hopefully by the end of it, we'll have some where they can they'll graduate with an associate's degree on top of our apprenticeship program for HVAC. So that's actually a cool thing we've been working on the last couple months.
So does Ivy Tech have an apprenticeship for HVAC now?
Not specifically for us. They do have an HVAC program, but it's not considered an apprenticeship. What we're talking about building is an actual apprenticeship that's governed by the state and things like that.
Where they'll have to come and do some co-op hours and stuff like that?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, they so many, same thing with plumbing. It's so many school hours and so many field hours.
Okay.
And then they fill out a sheet and turn it in. Then they take their journeyman test at the end of it. HVAC doesn't have a journeyman's test.
Okay.
You got a licensing test, but you don't need it to. You need to operate a business. You don't need it to work in the business. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah. No, I mean it's I'm in the roofing space. It's kind of crazy with. I've got friends all over the country, and this state needs this licensing, this state doesn't. That kind of stuff. What is is Ivy Tech going to roll that out like statewide, or are you working?
I think it's just in the Greenfield area. They are about a year away from even having the program in Greenfield, so we're still a ways away. But we are working on that. So, because the normal model for training is you get thrown out with Jim Bob, right?
Yep.
And Jim Bob's done it this way for 25 years, and he doesn't want to tell you how he does it. So you end up just skipping along, and the first 2 years, you're just trying to get Jim Bob to open up and teach you how to do stuff. Then he ends up teaching you how to do it wrong, and so on and so forth. If we can contain that and say, okay, Robert, I want this guy to be able to install an HVAC system by the time he gets done with all this to our standards, not Jim Bob's standards. That's what we want to do. And you can take a young man or woman, fresh out of high school, teach them how to do a skill that they'll track for the rest of their life. And that's kind of where we're at on training.
Well, and what I've noticed in the trades is Jim Bob is 60 years old, and he's complaining these young damn kids don't want to do anything. However, the 60-year-old doesn't want to train a damn young kid. It seems to forget that they were a dumb young kid, 18, 19 one time, And I mean, we're in the same thing. Like we're trying to train better, and we've always had some training. We're always investing in more. And I always tell the team, like, I want the same Big Mac if you're at the Knightstown McDonald's, you're at Rushville when they open back up, or wherever. Like that's the consistency that we're looking for as business owners. So yeah, absolutely. But I didn't know with HVAC, with the testing, and that's all news. News to me. So.
Well, and there's some things in HVAC. Now I just think about it. One is the 608 exam. So. The exam that licensed you to handle the refrigerant, which is not a hard test at all. I interview so many guys that are like, my company doesn't want me to have that. And I'm like, why? It's an easy test. It only costs $100 to take the test. And it's just a memorization of the dates and figures and things like that. So it's not a hard test. But for some reason, I interview tons of young people that are like, the company I'm with now just doesn't want me to have that license. And I'm like, no. We actually signed up and became proctors so we can give that test because, you need that to get to the next step in your career. So anyway. So
what do you like? This may go more business than actually real entertaining for podcast viewers, but what do you like when you're hiring? Do you like somebody that comes in with experience? What's your thought?
Kind of depends on what you're hiring for.
Okay.
If I'm hiring an accountant, for example, or a controller, I want somebody who has done that before. I don't want them to learn how to screw my money up. Like I want somebody else.
We do that enough being business owners.
Yeah, I don't need help in that area. But on the other side, it all depends on their attitude. So even if you have experience, and we just ran into this, we interviewed a guy, he came in, sounded great on the phone, but when we got there, his attitude was just like, I'm the greatest in the world. And it's like, I don't need that negative attitude here. One of our things is positivity. Like we want to stay positive. And to me, that would just foster a negative attitude. So we didn't end up hiring him. He ended up sending me a big long text message about how I was stupid. So I was like, well, I got right on that one. Did that ever happen to you?
No, I think of hiring mistakes that I've made. So yeah.
So we started looking for, people that's just a positive attitude. I don't really care how old or young or if you're going to come in and contribute to the team in a positive way, in a proactive way, then I'll probably end up hiring you. But if you come in with, a chip on your shoulder about how you've been doing this for 30 years, it's like, you've been doing it the way we don't do it.
Right.
Like, this is the way that we do it. So, the biggest thing, I actually went to a conference last year, and the speaker was like, if they don't smile during the interview, don't hire them because they're not going to smile out in the field. And so I've kind of looked for that, and he's not far off. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, I see that now. But anyway.
So what are some core values inside?
We have the 5 Ps, and I'm going to screw these up because I always do. One is we're process driven. We want every customer to have the same experience. We're positive. We got to stay positive. Even when things go negative, we got to stay positive. We're proactive. So we actively want to seek out problems and solve them versus let them fester and become huge things. Positive, process, proactive. I told you I'd forget them. I did, and I'm the one who came up with them. It's the 5 Ps. I'm thinking about making it the 6th P to put people in there.
Yeah.
Just because if you don't take care of your people, like they don't take care of you, right? So we are very strong on trying to make sure that people that work for me can pay their bills.
Right.
We don't pay, minimum wage, which makes us, they have health insurance, they have retirement plans, which makes us not the cheapest person around. But I know at the end of the day, they can, live. What I don't want is to hire somebody and they not make enough money to live, and then that person's just miserable and the whole thing goes off. So,
One thing that I learned from Dave Ramsey, I actually went and worked for him for about a year, and we had to submit a budget to prove that we could live off of what he was paying us, because he said early on he hired a secretary and she was great, interview was great. He paid her what he could afford to pay her. And then like 2 months later, she's like depressed, and he's like, what? And she's like, I can't afford to work here. And she got a job offer for a third more, and he's like, go. Like, thank you, but go. Yes. So, I mean, that's, that's something that what I've probably learned is, like, I know some people that try to hire the cheapest help, and it's such a revolving door. Yep. Like, I know Cody, I think, just celebrated his 3rd year working for us a couple of days ago. Nick has been with us almost 5 years now. Adam will be 4 years here in another month or two. So, I mean, it's kind of cool, and as young as we are, to start seeing, people with that, because like you said, I had a boss one time said it's the best compliment when a sales guy pulls up and, bought his wife a new car or whatever, because they're doing well, and there's too much of that presumption that we're the rich, greedy business owners, that we make all the money and none of our peasants make any money. Right. And I always tease some of my sales reps and tell them I'll swap them paychecks any week they want, and I'll really swap them headaches any week they want.
There you go.
So, do you have any salespeople that go out? Because the HVAC world is a little different than the roofing space. Like when a customer calls on knowing they need a new unit, I understand sometimes they're hoping for a repair that turns into a new unit, but how does that look when they work with you guys?
We do we call them comfort consultants or supervisors. There's two different leads that come in. One's a marketed lead, which is, hey, I want a price on a new system. And even then, sometimes we'll still send a service technician out there. Because sometimes, another company told them something was wrong or, something like that. We want to make sure that the system is not repairable or is repairable or whatever the options are. And then we do have the supervisor who goes out and goes over all the details and information about whatever system that they're going to purchase. The other one is that's a marketed lead. And then the other one would be, we're out there on a maintenance or something and the customer's system is, just not repairable, or the repair options are, over $1,000. And it's like, hey, there's no pressure here, but do you want to talk to the supervisor to go over all the information that you have so you can make an informed decision? Those are the two types of ways that the comfort consultant, for lack of a better thing, gets into the house, but is able to help the customer through those decisions. Because, HVAC, even some plumbing repairs, water heaters aren't cheap anymore. And there's 15 different water heaters we can put in your house. So which one fits your best needs, which one, fits your budget the best, those type of things. And that, as a technician out in the field trying to go over that with somebody, there's going to be a lot that gets misconstrued. So we like to have that second person go in and sit down with the homeowner and make sure they're making an informed decision.
So with the plumbing, are you doing a lot of like new drain piping? Are you doing more hot water heaters?
Ours is all residential.
Okay.
Although I did see a commercial one come through this morning, which is very odd for us. But it can be anything from, a simple change of faucet out repair to tankless water heaters are a big thing right now. I don't know if you ever had a tankless water heater, but if you don't, you need to get one. Because you can turn the water on, 5 days later, come back, it's still piping hot water coming out of that thing. There is no waiting or anything like that. Around here, a lot of the plumbing systems in these houses have been kind of cobbled together over the years. So you go in there and there'll be like 5 or 6 different materials throughout the house. And they're like, well, what are you doing here? And they're like, well, it leaked here, it leaked here, it leaked here. And it's like, well, if we could replace all of that for you, give you a warranty and a guarantee that says, hey, if it ever leaks in the next 5 years, you just call us, we come fix it. Would you be interested in doing that? And, 50% of the people say, yeah, give me a price on it. 25% of those people say, go ahead and do it. Because they don't want the hassle of a leak every couple of months. You got to take off time off work. You got to deal with the kids. You got to take a cold shower. All those things happen. Nobody likes those things. So let's give them the option of fixing it completely and totally, or what we call a Band-Aid repair, which is fixing just the issue at hand. So, like I said, most time people are like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
Right.
Because no one wants to take another day off work, that type of thing.
What do you do? Only service, only repairs, or do you guys doing new construction?
We try to stay away from new construction.
Okay.
For years and years and years, I did commercial plumbing and some HVAC. In 2023, we quit doing that. The McDonald's is getting built here in Rushville. We would have done that for that builder. Those type of things. People can find money in it, but I can't. So I just give up on it and let's just stick with residential, take care of people, take care of as many people as we can, and the money will follow.
Yep. Old Zig Ziglar says, if you help enough people, you never have to worry about money. And there's such so much truth to that. What, how old are your kids?
Emily is 24, 25, something like that. Kelsey is 19. Fox is 17. Carson is 9. And then I got 3 grandbabies. One that's almost 2 years old, I do believe. One that's 1 year old, and one that's about 6 months old.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any of the kids work in the business with you?
No, not really. Fox every now and again will do technical stuff. Set up computers and things like that. But No, he's also in high school. So
Okay.
yeah. And the other two, Kelsey wanted to be a mom, so she's got two beautiful
Awesome.
daughters, and then Emily's a nurse.
Awesome.
So she works a couple days a week at community around there. Yeah.
Nah, being a mom's, that's why my wife went to a couple days a week of being home at least. School just got back into session, but our kids are here a lot, and they're 6, 8, and 10, so they're getting they're pretty rambunctious.
Yep.
So we tried to keep them as home as much this summer as possible. So
and that's the crazy thing about especially being out here, like Fox and Carson. Literally, they're running around in their little walker things, pulling the computers off and all the cords out, and just wreaking havoc. It's just what we did. It was just, they just come to work. We can't afford a babysitter. So you're coming to work with us.
Well, and I told them I want them to see the hustle and the grind that mom and dad are putting in there. I mean, I don't know if I should admit this on camera, but there's a few times that we let them stay at home for a little bit while one of us ran out for an hour or two. We had ways for them to get a hold of us, or, we're on 26 acres, so they've got plenty of stuff to do. The problem is they probably got too much crap to get into to actually where, maybe an adult needs to be. Like the other day, a sheriff deputy stopped at my house and said there had been 3 911 calls made for my residency. So I went looking for the old phones because it wasn't registered to a phone. Well, it happened to actually be a crew that was working on a barn on our property, and it had rained that morning, and his phone got wet.
Wow.
And that's what put it on the fritz. But yeah, when I was like, "Hey kids, we playing on any phones?" And my kids, like, my son can't lie. Yep. I mean, he can't lie. My daughters, I know how to look them in the eyes and get them to confess when they are. And my wife's like, "No, the phones are here." And I walked in there, and all 3 of them were there. I get it. The kids grow up around it. I think it's a good thing. But I also think it's a good thing for your kids to go do what they want to do also, because I've already had them conversations with my kids, like, go do what you want to do. Like, don't think that you've got to come back and work in the family business. Now, if you're called to, let's go do that. So what is, I always tell people working with your spouse is the most rewarding thing, but possibly the hardest thing in the entire world. So what do you guys do to balance that?
Well, Kelly and I's dynamic is a little bit different. We're high school sweethearts. Okay. We've been together since we were 14 years old. So we've grown up together.
Yep.
We can argue vehemently, screaming at each other, do all that type of stuff. And then at the end of it, be like, "Okay, what's for lunch? What's for dinner?" It's not that deep in our thing, right?
Yep.
If it is, then we have ways of communicating that, hey, no, this is deeper than it actually should be, or deeper than I'm letting you know. But when we just had this conversation, Kelly and I had this conversation yesterday. We've had several people over the years that come work for us, and then they see that dynamic play out, which we've gotten better about not doing it in front of people. And people just quit because they're like, "Well, you're being disrespectful to your wife," and things like that. And it's like, no, that's just our dynamic, and she'll be the first one to tell you. No, that's our dynamic. It's how we talk and communicate with each other. So that's always been a weird thing. So it's just a matter of setting those guidelines up beforehand. Like, okay, if we holler and scream at each other, we still have to go home and be husband and wife. Like, we can't be business partners anymore. And like you said, wanting to talk about it, we were on our way to Menards this weekend, and it was like, this and that and this, and I was all excited about it. And she's like, "I really did not want to talk about Jake's this weekend. I just want to go to Menards and pick out this paint." So it's like, okay, what do you want to talk about? And then she ends up talking about it for the next 2 hours. So, but that's just, you just got to know where those lines are.
So, some people probably wouldn't want this emitted over the camera, but that's okay. We're working with a nurse practitioner here in town. She's freaking amazing, but she's got more degrees than a thermometer. So she's also a psychologist, counselor, I think a massage therapist, a nurse practitioner, and, you know, she's really focused. And my wife's lost like 30 pounds.
Oh,
and
nice.
I mean, like, 30 pounds to lose off of me, like, okay, you'll kind of notice it. But I mean,
Emily is not a big lady.
yeah. So, we're also working with her because a lot of times there's, you know, mental health. And I hate the word mental health, like, because it's either like, oh my gosh, I should let my kid be a cat and pee in the litter box, you know, like that's where some people want to take it. But, you know, we're doing like a marriage counseling session right before we have a team meeting. And, you know, when things are brought up, I looked at my wife and I was like, all right, we've got to put all this crap, this last hour and a half behind us. And we've got a team meeting that we can't walk in there divided like we are right now.
Yep.
You know, and I told Steph, I was like, okay, no more sessions together right before team meeting. And she started laughing. She goes, I'm sorry, you know, but like, I mean, I get that, you know, and I'll never forget one time, me and Emily, we were in a heated discussion, and it was after hours. One of the sales guys popped in, and he walked in, and he walked back out. I was like, hey man, I owe you an apology. That got a little heated, and he goes, now it's your guys' business. He goes, I was just staying the hell out of it, you know, which that's Nick. He just kind of goes with the flow anyways. But like I said, like genuinely, to me, it's such an honor just for what we've been able to build together. Yeah. You know, unfortunately, this world, there's so many husbands and wives that aren't even on the same team. And, you know, life is freaking hard.
Oh, yeah.
Raising kids is hard.
Oh, yeah.
And then put a business in there on top of that is hard. You know, so to me, it's just, it's enjoyment that I get for that opportunity, you know, to build something. And, you know, and for me, this business was my vision. Yep. It wasn't my wife's. The poor girl, the reason we started doing Dave Ramsey stuff was she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. You know, and then we got busy and she started helping, and she's just a worker and she started helping. And, you know, that's how we kind of looked up like, holy crap, like, you know, we had to let somebody go one time, and she's like, I'll step in and take this over temporary. And we look up a year and a half later, and I'm like, we've done nothing to make this not temporary for you. So yeah, what is you guys run any fall specials, anything like that, you know, to encourage people to get furnaces checked out, anything like that?
We are this year. We're changing it up a little bit. Our price has been like $59 to do a tune-up.
Yep.
That is gradually going up over into October, so we're doing it. We're going to end up at $89.
Okay.
So if the faster you get it done, the less it'll cost you in the end. That's our big special that's coming out in the next couple of months.
Okay.
And then on the plumbing side of things, the $68 drain clearing. It's something we've done for a couple of years now, and you know, if you got a toilet that's clogged for $68, we come unclog it and go from there.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not a. I'm sure I chuckled because me and my wife, we flipped houses, and we remodeled this house not too far from here. And it had the garage was about as big as the livable space was.
Yeah.
And the garage was so big that the guy I was flipping it with, we decided we could make a master suite in that area. And it still made the garage plenty big enough for the average person. And however, the garage is all on a slab, right?
Yep.
So we had to bust out some concrete. It worked out the way we did the bathroom. We could tie it back into the main house real, you know, relatively easy, poured a little concrete, you know.
Yep.
And the inspector's there doing his test, and he goes ahead and I don't know exactly how that goes, but I know they fill the tub so full, and then they leave the water running, and they pull the drain.
Yep.
And he went to the other part of the house to continue his inspection, and he came back. Well, my daughter at that time, which she would have probably been about 3, she had tried to wipe with Wendy's napkins, and we flooded most of the master new area we had just done, and we tried, and it took digging the outside up and replacing one of the lines.
Good night.
Because that's how much she had shoved down there and how much we had compacted it, and everything we did wasn't, but so I'm sure there's some good stories.
With drain cleaning, there's all kinds of, there's every day is a picture of them pulling something out on the end of the sewer line. They send it over text message, and like, look what I got. Yeah. So anyway,
what's the funniest thing they've gotten?
Well, tree roots are the biggest things, and those flushable wipes that aren't flushable, those type of things everywhere. We've pulled cats out. Probably the last one that I did where it was me that went out, I stuck a camera down the toilet because we have a camera that will actually go into a toilet and around. Okay. And there was a minion ball in there. So as the camera came up, the little minion's face was like right there. And I was like, man, I wish I could record that. But, you get the hook and you grab it and you pull it out, and they got toilets again.
What's one thing that maybe nobody ever asked you about your business?
I don't know. Not too many people ask me about our business. There is one going around right now. I love rumors and gossip about myself. I find out so much. There is one right now where it's local competition is telling people that we've sold out. So I had a sales guy or supervisor call me up and be like, Jake, you still own this place? I was like, why are you asking me this? It's been me and Kelly. And he asked me a series of questions, and by the end of it, the homeowner was like, so the guy lied to me? And I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, they said you sold twice in the last year. And it's like no, it's been me and Kelly for 18 years. Like, it's just us. So sometimes those rumors and gossip that you hear is like, really? And like, you tried to lie to get a sale? That don't make no sense.
Yeah. So did they spread the rumor that you sold to private equity?
Yes.
That's a conversation that I really didn't think that we could have. But so if you're listening to this, like, private equity is just all this hedge fund money that they're putting together, and they bug the living out of me. Like, I'm not exaggerating, 6 to 8 to 10 times a day.
Really?
The other day, Adam got something. So now what they've done is they've found, the office email gets it because that's easy to find on our website. Yep. But now they're even trying through like Adam, So, I'll just go ahead and say it I've watched some friends do it, I don't want to say been part of it, but watched it. And it's been a complete train wreck, in my opinion. I've got a good friend, and like I said, I know a lot of roofers over the United States. I've got one friend that I haven't talked to him here in the last month or two about it, but I bet you he's going to double his business because he was in Southern Ohio, and then there was a private equity company bought out a company up in Northern Ohio, and 7 guys walked out of that office and walked into his new office up there, I think. And because it's a human, it's dealing with, a family, and so
there's somebody to go yell at when it goes wrong.
Right.
And in our space, private equity has bought just about everybody up.
Yep.
And I always tell people anything's always for sale, but for right now, we're not really planning on selling. Right. So, which is kind of weird because we're just outside, being there in Knightstown, we're just outside of like Greenfield and some of those other places where those private equity funds want to be. So we stay off their radar. I don't get nearly as many calls as you do about getting bought out. I probably get 1 or 2 a year, which is odd because a lot of my friends have sold out, and you're absolutely right. I can think of one instance where for the first 3 years he loved it, and then in the last couple of months he's been like, it's just murder, because right now in the HVAC world it's actually going down a little bit as far as revenue and things like that. So we're kind of in one of those cycles that HVAC does. And so if they're on a downward cycle where your revenue's not as high, you're still profitable, but your revenue's not as high, private equity doesn't like that.
Right.
So then they come in and they just start telling you what to do. And in his case, he's been a business owner for 25 years, and he's ran the business for 25 years. So when you start to go down a little bit, he could make decisions. Now he can't make those decisions.
Yep.
Those decisions are made by a pencil pusher somewhere. And they're getting ready to sell, so they don't want to rock the boat at all, and so on and so forth. So now my friend's a multimillionaire now, and he's like, Jake, if this went away tomorrow, I'd be just fine.
Right,
but
right.
in the end, it is something that he spent the last 25 years of his life building up.
Well, and I mean, I've had people ask me, and like, is there a number? Yeah, eventually. I mean, I'm just some redneck country boy, I mean, me and my wife come from very, very humble beginnings, so but I also don't look at it like I'm not trying to grow it to only sell it, because I just feel like that's when you take the human element out of your team, out of your customers. And yeah, you're right. I mean, it's made a lot of multimillionaires, and they've been in the HVAC world a lot longer than they've been in the roofing space. Yep. One thing I think they're learning in the roofing space is they want companies more geared towards retail model instead of just everybody that replaces roofs on hail damage, because the retail model is a little more pencil pusher happy, where they can keep an eye on how much is being done, where if all you do is hail damage and there's no hailstorms for 2 or 3 years, you don't have much of a business. So
do you guys have a maintenance model that you guys do where like once a year you'll come out and check the roof and the siding and things like that? I would think that's our maintenance. We have a maintenance agreement where, twice a year we come out, check your furnace, check your air conditioning, check your plumbing on the third trip, those type of things. And it does a couple of things for us in our business. One, those customers get discounts. So if they ever have a problem, hopefully we're the first people that they call. And they also get other benefits. We have contests throughout the year. We give away pies. When did we give away the pies? I bought a crap ton of Thanksgiving. The marketing people were like, give pies away. So we went up to the pie place in Winchester and bought a bunch of pies and gave them out. Just different things like that throughout the year to remind people that we exist. I wonder if you could do that in your guys' space.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy the other day. It's big in the commercial roofing space.
I could see that.
Once again, they're trying to extend that life. They're, as and on the residential side, like mama ain't happy that the AC doesn't work right.
Yep.
The chance of the AC getting fixed new is a little higher than if it's at a commercial building.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, suck it up, buttercup. You're in the office for 3 hours, So, but I do know that on there's a couple of business models where guys try to get into commercial roofing with pretty much the maintenance. Be in front of them every year, and then in 5 years when they need a new roof replacement, at least you're at the top of their bid list, it's something we've considered and talked about. There's just about 75 other things in front of that I want to get implemented before that. Is there any future expansions? Kind of like what's the next few years look like for you guys?
Well, we're in the process right now of figuring out what that kind of looks like for us. Over the last year, we've actually doubled. Revenue-wise, like that's been a really crazy trip over this last year. So it's, can we sustain that in the market that we're in? Do we need to expand? I got our marketing people kind of looking at that and figuring out what we need to do as far as that's concerned. Or is there enough people in the zip codes that we service now that we can still maintain, the revenue that we have now and just grow. We're trying to grow 20% every year, which is what we shot for this year, and went up 200%. Or went up 100%.
Okay.
So that was kind of a unique thing for us. But is that sustainable? Could we double again in the zip codes that we're in? Not in 1 year. I don't think we could. But the marketing people are looking at it and seeing what the next strategy is versus my gut feelings, which, are wrong 98% of the time.
Right. Marketing's usually wrong 95% of the time, though. So
I've gone through some marketing firms. I've spent more money on marketing than I ever want to admit. But I landed on one that I started with.
Okay.
It's really cool. In 2018, I was with Online Access is the name of it. I went through 3 or 4 different marketing companies in that interim. Every one of them got paid a lot of money, didn't do a lot of results. So I went back to Online Access, and they were like, hey, we got this new program. They put me into this program, and this lady is absolutely phenomenal. Probably the best with details I've ever seen in my life, which I'm not a detail person, drives me up the wall. But I know she's driving results, so I will listen to whatever detail you want me to listen to. And she's just turned out to be wonderful over the last year. So before, when the phones weren't ringing, I'd call the marketing people up, and they'd be like, well, your phones are ringing. I was like, no, they're not. I need to do something. This lady is like, okay, they're not ringing right now, Jake? Okay, give me 10 minutes, and then she'll come back with a plan, and then, we're off to the races again.
So do you have any in-house marketing people?
Not anymore. Just me.
Okay.
Just me.
Nice.
And I listen to her, so.
Yeah. Is that mainly Google?
There's Google, the LSA program, which is really good. We started to do pay-per-click, but I'm not a fan of it just because it can get so expensive so fast. So I've capped that. We can't go over, it's like $3,000 a month or something like that. Like, I don't even want to play that game. And you can't play it with private equity. When private equity has, $100,000 a month, they can dump into your pay-per-click program, and we just don't have that, right? I don't have whatever money they have. So that was when I said we spent a lot of money and didn't get much out of it. We were playing that pay-per-click game. And people don't realize that. Like, when you're talking to customers, that pay-per-click can cost you as little as a penny, or it cost you as much as $1,000. Depending on the word that you chose to do. And people don't realize that you're paying Google all this large amount of money, and you just don't realize it. Even the LSA is still for us, it's like $68 a booked job.
Right.
And it's like, man, that gets expensive after a while. So anyway, that's the marketing thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Don't let me ramble. I will ramble for days.
How can we support you as we wrap this up?
Just keep putting, our name out there, and you guys have actually referred some customers over the years. That doesn't go unnoticed. Awesome. It probably doesn't go. We don't call you up and say thank you, but and then I also try to refer you guys, especially on roofing things on Facebook and things like that. But because it's you don't find too many roofing companies where you can actually go sit down with the person and find the person and things like that. That's what I like about your guys' company. Normally the roofing company is somewhere, in another state or something, it seems like. And that's support us just like that.
Perfect. Yeah. I appreciate your time coming in, Jake. And guys, jump on, follow them. If you're in the greater Knightstown area, sounds like we're gonna make Knightstown sound real big. Newcastle, Rushville, New Pal, Knightstown, kind of everywhere in between. Give them a call. Like I said, they've helped us on a few things. I think we actually helped you guys. We did a roof repair. I think you guys did exhaust for something. When I say a few weeks ago, hell, it could have been 6 months ago, but I do remember that everything went smooth. And I heard that from the office. So that's always nice, because as a homeowner, if you're watching this, like, you want things to go smooth. I really want things to go smooth, because there's probably 5 people involved here at the office plus the homeowner. So thank you for your time, and
thanks for
appreciate it, sir.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you, Ross.